three.
It's time for excessive celebration.
2. 1. 0.
It is time for excessive celebration. Happy 2020, Happy New Year, right here on Crossover Radio Sports. Excessive celebration. Billy Bell on the other side of the table. Scotty O right here. Welcome back. Welcome to a little bit of a 2-week hiatus, but we are in new digs. It is 2020, and Crossover Radio Sports is here to stay, baby. How's it going, Bill?
Very fancy right now.
You know what I feel like?
There's a lot of buttons I'm trying not to push right now.
Well, just make sure you can, if you need to do the mute button for me, you know just how
I
to
may
do
have
that.
already hit it. I just don't know yet.
Well, then we'll get a lot more clicks positively if you've done that. You know, Bill, I don't know about you, but when I was a little kid, the thing I hated more than anything in the world was going clothes shopping with my mom, where I'd have to go in and like try on a pair of pants and then walk out of the waiting room by that mirror, and your mom would like tug on them to make sure they fit right. And I always felt like nothing could be more embarrassing. I'm probably going to see some little girl that, you know, that I got an eye on in 6th grade or something, and my mom's tugging on my... I do not feel that way about our brand new digs here, our brand new pair of clothes. It's big time.
You know what I find funny? So to this day, when I go pants shopping,
See, it even sounds bad.
I know the size, I know the length, I know every brand is different. I just buy them. I don't even try them on. I just walk out. I'm good.
I'm
good. I'm good. Nope. I get them home if they don't fit. Oh well.
I promise you, Maddox will feel the same way. I conditioned my son Sean to hate that, and your boy Sky Q is a major hater of trying things on. And frankly, he pretty much has to try on everything.
It's uncomfortable.
Yeah, but you know what? This studio isn't. Thank you so much, Jeremy, and the Crossover powers that be. Many thanks to the construction crew. And most importantly, Bill, talk a little bit about our host and how lucky we are to be where we are.
Everybody, please come on down to Served. Get you a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
Best cup of coffee around. Cup of coffee. Easy for me. Easy for me to say. What did you say a couple weeks ago? That Carol took to heart and she asked you what it meant.
Oh, that she took something to heart that I said?
Yeah, and she couldn't figure out why we kept saying it.
Oh, was it super pork chop?
No. Everybody knows why we say that.
Oh, I don't know. I've slept since then, Bill.
Which there's breaking news on that, by the way.
Excellent.
Breaking
No, I can't wait for that. Well, we've got a lot to talk about. I actually alluded a couple of weeks ago that there would be some possible changes, that we were going to have a chance to have another organizational meeting here. Well, it couldn't have gone better. We are thrilled to be in this new studio. It is absolutely 100% everything that we could hope for. And if we don't sound like you think we should sound, it's on Billy and me. It's not on this wonderful equipment and the wonderful people that have allowed us to do what we do.
Yeah, I don't do voices, though, so I can't change my voice.
Oh, I think you're Mr. Mellifluous over there.
Do some Kermit the Frog or Miss Piggy voices. That's not me.
Well, we have got so much that we're going to talk about today. In addition to Bill going over, since it's been 2 weeks, we won't dwell on it, but we'll talk the bowl games. Bunch to talk about in terms of coaching changes, both in the NFL and certainly in college. Want to welcome Luke McConnell, the voice of Southern Nazarene, to Crossover. He's actually going to be running this sports side of this for us, and we're excited to have him here. He's got a show on Crossover Sports Radio. As the voice of SNU, it's Rise and Fire. That's Wednesday, 7 to 9 p.m.
Is this co-host Steph Curry?
It ought to be.
Really?
It ought
or
to be.
Buddy. Or Trey Young.
Yeah, or Tim McAllister. Remember him? T-Mac at OU. Never saw a shot he didn't like. Also, just to mention some other programming here on the sports side, nickel coverage with Ian Nickel. That's Wednesdays, 4:30 to 5:30. And my boy Rocky on the other The other format, the crossover radio format, Crossover Cafe with Rocky, Sundays 5 to 7, Wednesdays 9 to 11. So I think we have covered our bases in terms of thanking everybody that's let us be here.
Who's on first?
It's not Matt Rule. It is not Matt Rule. And, of course, Bill, what are we on?
Well, you're on mic 2.
Yay.
No. We're on Crossover Sports Radio, 4:30 to 6:30 every Friday. You can find us on Thursday and Monday, also on Crossover Sports Radio, 4:30 to 6:30 on the Monday. The Thursday one throws me, and that one's a tough time to remember. I'm pretty sure now we're 11 to 1 on Thursday.
That sounds right. So if you're a marsupial,
I'd be up for it.
oh, that's a nice little pun there. Up for it. Good for you. Nocturnal? Are you a nocturnal marsupial?
Sometimes.
Yeah, I am too sometimes, and I always pay for it the next day. I think there was a Seinfeld episode about when the late night guy finally clashes with morning guy, and then late night guy wins because morning guy loses his job and then doesn't have to be morning guy anymore, so late night guy gets to win. Yeah, I used to be that guy.
I feel like late night guy should always win.
I think late night guy won way too much for me now, and that's why I'm a early late night guy now.
But mid-late guy.
Well, you know, we're slowly the calendar has changed. We're in 2020. We're focusing more towards basketball, but we're certainly going to wrap up where we are with college football. One more game to go. We'll talk NFL playoffs. We're right smack dab in the middle now of the NBA season. We've gotten into Big 12 and conference hoops, which have been quite a downer if you're a fan of the orange and black like I am, going 0-2. But we've got a lot to talk about, Bill. Bill, anything from a personal standpoint over the holidays, anything you'd like to share? Did Santa come and take care of you? Because he sure took care of me.
Yeah, I got some nice stuff this year. I believe I got a hoodie. I don't know if you've seen that yet, but it's pretty solid. Pretty solid.
Sweet.
And some other things that are pretty nice as well, too. But no, nothing super new. I am interested on your thoughts on all these coaching moves in the NFL, and I guess the inevitable question that we keep asking ourselves is, what are the Thunder going to do?
Yeah, and I think,
where do you go with this team?
And the questions, I think, become broader than more narrow just as time goes on. And I've got a little bit to talk about that with you as well. Certainly going to lean on you for the more knowledgeable side of the equation when we talk that, but I've definitely got some opinions revolving the coaching carousel.
Trade everybody for Giannis, and you're good.
Nah, that's not such a bad idea, actually.
I feel like they would still owe the Milwaukee Bucks more money.
Yeah, but the locker room, you could make it smaller. Give him a bigger locker.
Yeah,
he's the only one in there.
He can play all 5 positions. I don't see a problem with it.
No, I would let him do whatever he wants. Speaking of let him do whatever they want, boy, Steven Adams had his way pretty much with Embiid last night.
You know, that's the thing with Steven. Like, especially this year, you thought that transition to his game, he would rise and shine with this team. There is no... I mean, I guess Chris Paul's your primary scorer, but there is no real true number one on this team. It's an actual team collective now, regardless if they all played for the Clippers last year. They do it effectively through about 3 or 4 different guys, and I would have thought Adams, because of his progression through his whole career, that it would have been this massive jump for him, and kind of in the same way that I thought Draymond would have done the same kind of jump, and he's kind of, I don't want to say fallen off, but it's not the same Draymond we're accustomed to seeing.
Well, but I think part of that is the fact that without anybody else on the floor that anybody knows their last name, he tends to become the focus a little bit more too. So I think that could be part of it.
When they're rolling out guys that I don't want to say shouldn't play in the NBA, but are better suited to be your 8th and 9th guy off the bench, not your starting 3, starting 5.
Maybe even a 2-way guy that's playing G League. Seriously.
I mean, some of those guys are playing hard, but man, it's tough going right now for Golden State.
It is, and it's hard to, in one breath, not to find some humor in that. But at the same time, they open that $1 billion arena and charge people all that money. And I wonder if come late February, anybody's even going to be, showing up for those games.
Well, at that point, I mean, you've got to figure you get Steph back at some point. You should have. I don't know when Clay. I don't know. I haven't heard the timetable exactly on Clay, but
I'm not sure Steph's coming back.
Really?
Though. Yeah.
Do you think you bring Clay back at all then?
I would not.
I would just watch this season and go for the draft pick.
Yeah.
That's not a bad idea either.
That's some of the talk is that Steph's not coming back either.
Do you hold on to Russell?
I think you have to, and I think you have to until you know what you've got legitimately. How are these guys 100% when they come back? Are they? And if not, will they be? I think you got to hang on to the assets that matter the most. But I think it's tough on Draymond, and those guys have had their way so long that it's hard for me to feel any empathy for them. But so I'll just leave it at that. I don't.
I don't know. I think you find a way to trade Russell.
Do you?
And get stockpile draft picks. If you're going to call this season a wash, you stockpile draft picks. There's probably some other guys on that team that, I don't know, just because of their contracts, you could probably get away from too. That I don't think it works with Russell. I don't think it would work, or it's going to work quite as well as I thought when they made the trade. Just because when they did have Steph and him together, he still looked lost. And it's kind of the same reaction you get when you look at James Harden and Westbrook is they both need the ball in their hands to really be truly effective. So right now they're kind of, how do I fit in? What do I do? Steph is probably more of the natural two guard, but he's so good with the ball in his hands that you don't want to be like, okay, you're going to go play two, and we're going to let D'Angelo kind of run the show.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense.
Well, who do you see right now? If Golden State, and we can get in NBA more, but I'll finish this thought. If Golden State was going to pull the trigger on something like that, who would be their quickest suitor? Who out there could use D'Angelo?
There's so many factors of making the money work, what trade assets they have.
But just purely from a need standpoint.
A great spot, and I feel like it would be an upgrade, would be to trade him somehow to Miami. And I don't think you bring back Dragic. It may be one of those deals where you turn and swap it with somebody else, but sending him to Miami to play with Jimmy Butler. Butler, again, is kind of still one of those players that needs the ball in his hand, but if he had the luxury to have another guy that could do it, almost like LeBron does, to where LeBron can come down the floor and kind of hand it off to somebody else. Outside of that, Minnesota, maybe just to kind of give him kind of a little bit of life. I mean, I don't know who else you would give him to. I mean, Phoenix doesn't need him.
No,
Rubio's played fantastically.
Portland needs people playing better, but they don't need any more guards.
Yeah, they need more size.
Yeah,
and
they don't need guards.
At this point in Portland, I'm thinking blow it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
does that mean getting rid of
this is
Carmelo, though? I mean, he's a fixture.
He's been playing
he's
solid,
a fixture.
though. Yeah. The thing I like about...
I never would have thought that, Bill.
Well, I was going to say, the thing that I find super funny about this is, right, so you go into that deal of when teams overreact. So Portland overreacted, and then you started seeing them buy, we're going to get Whiteside, we're going to get Carmelo, we're getting so-and-so. Worst case scenario, because it messed up the team chemistry. They were so much better, and it may have been Cantor coming in and being that infusion. Zach Collins actually had room to grow. Now he's kind of stifled back.
Right.
There's a lot of guys, and I can't blame Carmelo at all. Not one bit. Carmelo has been the star of that show since he showed up after probably about game 3. Carmelo has taken off. It's where Damian and CJ, and especially CJ's case, has regressed.
Oh, he has, and that was the one when you mentioned somewhere to go. I thought, well, if you could trade straight up or a three-way, maybe that might help. But the only thing I would say about Miami being a suitor for that is, I don't know. I mean, they chemistry-wise, they're doing something right now down there. I don't know enough about Russell to know if he's a team-first guy, a guy that I just
Yeah,
don't know. I don't know
know.
the answer there. But you've got some personalities in Miami, and right now they're playing pretty well together. Whether or not they can play well with others throughout the course of the sandbox remains to be seen.
Well, it's always or it remains to be seen if two people can play well with each other.
Well, we have.
Oh, well, that's why you're sitting on the opposite side of the table.
Okay, I'll stay where I'm supposed to. I'll keep in my place.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio, reminding you, get that app for Crossover Radio, get that app for Crossover Radio Sports, get it all, bundle it. Who's at the door?
Somebody's watching us.
Michael Jackson?
Wasn't there some songs about somebody's watching me? Something like that.
Because you always feel that.
Yeah, always.
All right.
Yeah. It's not that I'm paranoid, because people are out to get me. You are listening to Excessive Celebration, watching, listening, enjoying, hopefully, Excessive Celebration. The pretty guy in the hat's Billy Bell. The old guy, that's me, Scotty Owens. Crossover Sports Radio. Thrilled to be here. Happy New Year. It's 2020. This is the home for Southern Nazarene Sports. Luke McConnell,
Luke.
play-by-play voice for Southern Nazarene basketball. Also got Putnam City basketball, Putnam City women's basketball. All kind of new things laid out for this next year. And couldn't be happier to be here alongside my longtime partner, Billy Bell. Bill, very interesting when it comes to our bowl results.
Yeah, not good. Not good whatsoever.
1-6
You
for
know,
the Big 12, but thankfully the one team that always has our back, Tom Herman and the Texas Longhorns get the win.
I thought about this the other day. So as good and perfect as I was
Long-term partner
in MLB was as bad as I was in college football and football predictions.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I'm holding back on the bowl thing until the very end.
Yeah.
But this turned out to be my contest this time around. I'm going to win this one going away, and just got pretty lucky on some of my picks. Some of them felt pretty good about. But you want to just jump into a few of them? I've just got a couple of them here, Bill.
I'm going to say real quick, if you are watching us right now, you can chat to us.
Oh, please.
Say a little what's up. How's it going?
Hey. I'll tell you what's up. National Championships coming up, Bill. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let's talk about how we got there. A couple of the bowl results that I thought were pretty interesting, Bill. How about Washington 38, Boise 7? You think Chris Peterson's guys wanted him to go out on a good note there? That was a behind kicking.
I feel like it's a pretty solid performance. Solid.
It was.
That's like one of those, for all the motivation that you can have, when coaches leave, it tends to be the best motivation, especially when it's coaches that kids really care about.
Right.
They overperform to the max. Now, you will get some rare circumstances where, like, a really top elite guy did something wrong or something, and he's off the team and they play for that kid, or,
yeah,
heaven forbid, something cancer-wise or whatever happens, and they play hard for those people.
Sure. Like the Colorado kids rallied for Salinese back in the day.
And it's one of those deals that no matter what your competition, they could be playing Alabama or Clemson. They're going to find a way to win that game. And it's that unknown that's out there about college football that, and even professional football to some degree, is that drives kids so hard to do all that. And
I think more so in college, though.
Well, yeah. 70 million gets me to play pretty hard, though.
Well, yeah, and the fact that most likely that guy probably was in your living room at one time having some of mom's pancakes or something like that, and there's a little bit more of a familial feel to that. But yeah, and then I tell you, Florida Atlantic, I watched them, and even though their coach went away, I felt like they would be in a pretty good spot, and they put it on Dykes and SMU, 52-28. Bill, one that you and I both won, and our diminutive friend did not win. Louisiana Tech 14, Miami nothing. Manny Diaz, man, if that's not super pork chop material or trash panda material, I don't know who is. That was pathetic.
I just had a feeling in that game. I'm a big time believer in feelings on who I think is going to play well. And Miami, until they are truly back to recruiting some guys that can ball again, I just don't think they're going to win a bunch of bowl games in the next decade.
Yeah, not to challenge you, but you also had a feeling about the Peach Bowl, if I remember right.
Yeah, that was a different kind of feeling. It's not a good feeling.
Yeah. About halfway through that, I'm sure you had even a third kind of a feeling, some sort of an abdominal requirement.
Well, what? It's I was listening to Fergalicious, and that's where I got that feeling from.
I understand. How'd you feel about Alabama 35, Michigan 16? And do you think Alabama ran it up on them a little bit at the end? Because I do.
I mean,
I don't have a problem with it. I just think they did.
No, I don't have a problem with it either. I think if somebody's going to stop you, then stop them. Yeah. I don't have a problem if you run it up 75-0 or what. Honestly, I don't. I feel like if you have a problem with it, stop them.
I love what you're saying. I was never a huge fan of Billy Tubbs for obvious reasons, and some less than that. But what I was a fan of is when somebody gave him a hard time because they beat somebody like 151-82.
Yeah.
And they said, that they felt slighted to some degree, and he had two words for them: get better.
Yeah.
No, not those two words. Get better. And I completely, you want to come get a big paycheck, then you better be prepared to get run out of the gym. And in the end, maybe you're better. And if you're not, then that's on you for not finding things out about yourself to make you better after you get dogged. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. 100% fair.
Well, Bill, let's talk real quick. Big 12, 1-6. Iowa State just got throttled by Notre Dame. Oklahoma State, up 14-0, gets beat 24 to 20 after having the lead. And what that really came down to me was the same thing that happened in the LSU-Oklahoma game. At some point, size matters. At some point, these great big studs across the interior line can beat you. And when they're that much better than you, with the A&M Oklahoma State game, you had skill players that were very similar, I believe, in talent. Not to say that Oklahoma State matched up completely with A&M, because they don't, but the skill players were close. Where it wasn't close was the interior, and that played out there. Now you jump down to LSU 63, OU 28. Now you're talking about, frankly, where their skill players, I don't know that either one of those receivers, Chase or Jefferson, are that much better than CeeDee Lamb, but I know one thing, there's two of them.
So, okay, I've got to ask this question. And the whole time I'm watching this game, my thought, that corner after he gets beat on the second touchdown, why not roll him back to safety and bring your safety up to play corner?
I don't know, Bill, but if you remember, that was the thing that I was absolutely thinking the biggest concern was going to be the loss of their safety and what that would do to that secondary, because it's one thing to lose your primary rush end. Now you're going to take the heat off of the Heisman-winning quarterback and give him the opportunity to throw the ball down the deep middle multiple times. And I think the young man's name is Broyles, and not to belittle him, but they picked on him over and over and over again.
I wondered that through the whole thing, because it seemed to me like he had a problem turning back around. And why even put him in that position after touchdown catch number 2? Maybe flip him around and just play him, have him just drop deep. That's all you're going to do, drop deep. Yeah. You let whichever secondary guy you feel is better come up and play corner. Not saying it's going to work, but try something different. This seemed to be the one game where there was no option.
Well, and then you've got Buki taking himself out of the game. That's still, and I'll let other people discuss how the intelligence level of a play like that. But anytime you remove yourself from a game over something that appears to be somewhat selfish, when I don't believe that the guy he hit had the football at the time. I think it was in somebody else's hands.
It's a questionable play. Do we see that play 10 times a game? Yeah, we do. Was it as severe as I thought it was, as them kicking him out? I didn't think so. It's borderline, because I don't want to say the last moment, but pretty close to the last moment, he turns around and sees him. But
I don't know, Bill.
He decleats him. I mean,
you've got local guys here that spent their career playing football at OU that said it was the stupidest play that they've ever seen. And
you know where that works, though, right? The XFL.
Absolutely. Or NFL Blitz.
Yeah, where he's all fired up.
Oh, I love that game, especially punt returns and punts.
Oh, you couldn't tackle anybody when they're all fired up.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fired up is what I am for the national championship game, Bill. Very interesting. Points per game. LSU 48.9, and that's fairly good schedule they played, I would say, in terms of defenses they faced.
Yeah.
Points allowed, 21.2. Clemson, 45.3 points a game, 10.6 points allowed per game. Total yards, 538 for Clemson, 564 for LSU. Yards allowed, 244 for Clemson, 341 for LSU. You break that down, Clemson's giving up only 106 yards on the ground, LSU 119. That'll be interesting, Bill, because you've got a couple of quality premier running backs that are going to be in this game. We talk about the quarterbacks all the time, but Etienne and
Etienne, he may be one of the most complete backs coming out of college I've seen.
I'm watching this guy pick up blitzes. I'm watching him catch the ball out of the backfield.
I know we had Ezekiel Elliott, but there were still question marks about Ezekiel coming out. I mean, the degree of which he blocks for Lawrence, the degree of how good his hands are out of the backfield and his ability to slow down and almost run like Le'Veon Bell, to where he stands behind the line, and then when he sees that hole, he's gone. Or if he needs to shoot through that gap fast, he does. His on-the-fly read of all of that is better than practically everybody I've seen come out in the last decade or so.
You know, he reminds me a little bit, Bill, not build-wise or anything else, but he's little Saquon Barkley there, a pretty complete guy that's kind of almost ready just to step in and get after it. And frankly, there's a lot of guys, some around here, that run the ball really well, but they have not either played long enough to build a resume to be able to say, yeah, I can pick up the blitz. Yeah,
that guy's on a different level.
He is.
I mean, he's a different level. Like, even Saquon athletically was a freak, but his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, he could work on a little bit.
Yeah,
this guy, I feel, is your complete
you're right.
package.
You're right. With Saquon, there was an upside that you were hoping he would reach. This guy's already he's NFL ready, Bill.
I think the only maybe thing or knock you could put on him, and I don't know if he can or can't, or if it would help or not, would be to have him put on a little bit of weight.
Yeah.
Not even much, but like 10, 15 pounds. Put that on. Because I feel like he's going to need it in the NFL with the amount of hits and the linebackers that can run 4-2.
Well, and if he's going to be a guy that can stay in on third down, then I absolutely agree with you.
Well, yeah, and but with this day and age of everybody having 2 to 3 running backs and they all do these specific things, or some of them can do multiple things. I mean, realistically, I think the Saints have had the best options of, you've got Kamara and then you've got Murray. They're two guys. They don't necessarily run the same, but both catch the ball out of the backfield amazingly.
Yeah.
How you would ever take Kamara out of or off the football field, I don't know. But if you have to, you've got a safe bet in Murray, who can catch the ball out of the backfield, who can run the ball. So I think with that option, I mean, it opens up so many avenues of he's going to fit anywhere. And where I'd actually like to see him go would be to Oakland, to help out Josh Jacobs and what he's got going on there.
Yeah,
he could be your difference maker, and he won't fall to Oakland, but he could be your difference maker of a second option for Carr to go to. And then you could spread him out in slot occasionally, or spread him out wide if you wanted to.
You're breaking everybody in the Bay Area's heart right now, because he'll actually be playing in Las Vegas. But it's going to take me a decade to quit calling them the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
I did that when they were in L.A., and when we talk NFL, I got to ask you what you think about maybe some interesting rumors that connect a certain quarterback from the New England area
to Deion Sanders,
to the Chargers.
Ooh, what are they just going to trade each other?
Oh, I don't think there's a trade. I think Philip Crimea River is about to go fishing.
All right. You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports, reminding you, get that app. And while you're getting that app, come in to Serve today and grab some coffee.
I can smell it from up here, and it smells good, Bill. Wow. Are you just messing with me? I mean, am I? It's
I
almost
was.
it's chipmunk-like in some way, a little bit.
Well, I just wanted to see if you knew that your mic wasn't on.
Is it ever on?
We let you believe.
Okay. Well, that's fine. It's like an old Andy Griffith episode where Barney's singing in the choir and he's terrible, so they have him got the special mic and they turn it all the way down, and then he sounds like this wonderful.
No, the guy in the back of the stage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Barney's got his bow tie on.
Yeah.
He's getting after it.
I like Barney Fife.
I loved Barney Fife. The only thing I liked better was when Gomer gave him a citizen's arrest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Citizens arrest.
Citizens arrest. Citizens arrest. Yeah, that gives you some insight into what Billy and I find amusing, and probably why we can entertain each other so well.
It's the little things.
It is. It's
Sometimes the big things, but mostly the little things.
it's sometimes just things. Bill, coaching carousel. No neon sign of Dion anywhere.
And you had the perfect opportunity, Dallas. The
Yeah.
perfect opportunity. What is Jerry Jones thinking?
I don't know, but got some news from about Mike McCarthy taking over that job with the Dallas Cowboys. Apparently, they're going to retain offensive coordinator Kellen Moore,
That's probably for the best.
but he may go with Ron Rivera to Washington and take over the job there. Why would you do that?
I don't know. So, in most circles, most head coaches are going to feel like the Cowboys are loaded.
Yeah.
And especially compared to Washington, unless you plan on, I feel like whoever goes to Washington is going to be that, no pun intended here, crossover coach.
Yeah.
So you're going to get them to a certain level, we'll
And
say
that's it.
8-8 or whatever. And then they're going to find somebody here in 2 to 3 years that can drive this team. The perfect coach for that is Ron Rivera, because that's what he's great at.
Right.
If you're Kellen, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, if they like Kellen enough that they would like for him to be a part of this new staff, what that tells me if I'm Kellen Moore is, hey, let me make sure I do everything I can to keep this offense humming. And then when McCarthy tires of all the stuff that Steven and Jerry are throwing their way, I may be in line to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, so a question: Do you take it if you're Kellen if they're offering you more money?
I would say it would have to be significantly more. And I think I would go to the Joneses first and say, for me to ever be considered a head coach, do I have to leave here and then come back? And if they say no, which they probably would anyway, but he knows them well enough, I don't know that I would leave. I would say it would have to be so significant, because anything that's even within 10 or 15% to me would be a lateral move just based on the value of the two franchises of which you work. I think there's an opportunity for Kellen Moore to thrive and make more money for a longer period of time where he is than going to Washington. First of all, if you think Jerry Jones is a pain in the backside, look at the owner of the Redskins.
Right.
So
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I
don't think there's a great answer here.
I don't think there's an amount of money that would make me change. Unless you show me something like you're going to trade for something or you're going to uptrade your draft pick. Something's got to change and switch to where you make yourself, or it makes them feel more comfortable being there. It just doesn't feel like there's stability there. It feels like they don't know how to draft. And when they do draft, they trade that guy away.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Redskins are one notch above the Cleveland Browns in terms of organizational functionality or dysfunctionality. They're just a notch above that. And that, to me, is a direct reflection of ownership.
And especially in a division that seems like you can't win it more than once a year.
Yeah.
There should be more parity. You shouldn't be ringing the bottom of the ladder every year. You should be competing with these teams because, let's face it, the Cowboys can't get it together.
No.
The Eagles have quarterback injury problems every year.
And the Giants
And
are the Giants.
The Giants, well, next year might be a good year, and that's the hope. But
It's always the
what
hope.
do they got besides Saquon Barkley?
Right.
Jones
And-
played pretty well, but I mean, really, what do they got besides Saquon Barkley?
Well, and back to the point that you made earlier, somebody like Rivera, I don't think you have to be a genius to get this team to be 7-9, maybe even 8-8, because of the division they're in.
Right.
But the point is, it seems like other than the Eagles coach, every other coach in that division is good enough to maybe win the division, but never, ever get beyond that. And part of that has to do with how bad that division is. It's, we always talk about the AFC East, being a poor division. Well, part of that's because the Patriots were so dominant that everybody else looked bad. Here, I just think it's the 4 mediocre teams. So you ought to be able to win the division every couple of years. And I think Rivera could probably do that. But to what end? Like you said, 2 or 3 years, Snyder gets a wild hair and decides he wants to, hire Barry Switzer or Tom Osborne.
I was going to say that's when Lincoln's finally going to decide to come out and they're going to back the truck up to him.
Sure.
Big
Lincoln logs.
Every part of this feels like Rivera's going to get them to 8-8.
Yeah.
And then they're going to find another
exactly.
every single part of it. And it feels like it's going to be about a 3 to 4 year process.
I couldn't agree more.
And they're going to win 4 games next year, maybe 5 the year after. Then they'll jump up. They'll have this traumatic jump of 7 games, and he's bringing us back. And that last year he'll get them to 8, and then Snyder will get tired of it and find somebody else.
Yeah, because that's what he does.
Yeah, there's no patience. He's looking for that dude, and here's the problem though too. Most cases when this happens, so let's look at the Rams, right? So you get a young quarterback in there who's on a rookie contract, but the Rams had pieces around already to where they could go out and pay for all these guys and fit needs that they had because they still had money to spend. The Redskins have nobody.
Right.
They
Where are
don't-
the assets there?
They have a rookie quarterback on a contract, but we don't know what he's going to be.
Right.
I don't put that out there that just because he's played 3-4 games, that's what he's going to be. I think he needs a lot more help than what they've really given him so far. But if this is the case and that's what he's going to be, they're going to need to find another rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
The way the league is trending, it seems like you build everything else, you go find a rookie quarterback, you let him ride for about 2 to 3 years, you decide on if you want to keep him. If you don't want to keep him, you drop him. That way you can still plug and play different positions and decide on the next rookie quarterback.
But
that
at
you want
that
to
point,
come
you
in.
might have some guys that you can pay less now because they're towards the end of their contract, and now you've got the opportunity to take a little bit more liquid and throw it towards
Or
a
you could
signal caller
do
or
do
whatever.
the opposite of what's worked so well for the Patriots. You get guys on the 2 to 3 year deals,
right?
And you just tell them flat out, listen, I know you're 25 and you're about to hit your prime, but we're not going to pay you over this set amount.
Right.
I mean,
We'll catch you on the backside coming back when it's all said and done, and you'll give you 2 more years at a third of the salary that you're going to get.
Right. And I don't know which ones. I mean, you could say the Patriots model's been the most successful, but there's been teams that have made runs. So the Rams a couple of years ago made a run. But the problem when you do it the Rams way is I think that window shrinks.
Yeah, it does.
I think you've got that 2 to 3 year window, and after that you're done with it, and then you've got to start over and kind of just build from where you are.
Well, and we may have already seen that begin to manifest itself in Los Angeles. And we are going to have a whole segment dedicated to the NFL. This coaching change, it needed to start with Dallas simply because that's a big deal, and it affects not only the pro ranks, but certainly the interest around here about what Dallas was going to do. Another one of the names that popped up speculation-wise from Lincoln Riley at Dallas was Matt Rule, and as of today, Matt Rule is now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers. Bill,
interesting hire. Interesting.
Did you hear what he did?
Real quick, if you are watching this right now or listening to us Friday, send us a message and tell us what you think of the hire for the Dallas Cowboys coach.
Great.
Drop it now in the box, or drop it on our Facebook page.
And if you
celebration.
If you think it should have been Neon Dion, then put that in giant orange letters bold and let us know.
How could you not? Like, do you think at any point Jerry Jones just is like, what if we try Dion? I mean, like,
Do you want to be offensive coordinator or head coach? Both.
I'm just saying, if Kellen Moore and Byron Leftwich can get jobs, but Dion can't in the NFL,
Here you do. This is what you do. You go and you get Michael Irvin to be your offensive coordinator. You get Nate Newton to be your offensive line coach.
Terrell Owens to be your wide receivers coach.
And mentor.
Pac-Man Jones to be your secondary coach.
And mentor.
Dion to be the head. But what are we missing? Special teams coach.
I would say.
Who was that dude? Well, I can't.
Is Zampese still? Can you bring Ernie back?
Yeah.
You can bring Ernie Zampese back for that.
Oh man, that'd be. There's somewhere we got to put Lane Kiffin on that team too. I just can't figure out where yet. A special assistant or something.
Yeah, maybe. Boy, I don't know.
He'd find a place.
Honorary captain. Maybe he could hold Steve Sarkisian's flask for him on the sidelines. You get Steve in there too.
Would that not be the best fit ever though? Jerry Jones and Lane Kiffin?
That sounds like gold to me.
I feel like that's a match made in heaven.
Maybe that's the next move after Ole Miss.
Yeah, because you got to get fired to move on up, right?
Hey, talking about Ole Miss, I heard something fascinating today, and it was all right. If you remember now, Ole Miss had Mississippi State beat until the kid catches the ball, scores the touchdown, and then pretends to urinate on the field as a dog, right?
Right.
It ends up costing them the ball game because they miss the extra point when it's moved back 15 yards. They can't go for 2, and then they miss the extra point. Now, Mississippi State wins that game. They get to go to a bowl, right?
Right.
They go to a bowl. They get beat. During the bowl preparations, there's a fight. There's some incidents that take place. After they lose that ball game to Louisville, the head coach gets fired. Here they are already late into the hiring process in terms of trying to find a valid candidate this late into the year, all after the early signing period and certainly up to February. A lot of people are now saying that guy actually helped Ole Miss out by doing that because they got their coach and now Mississippi State can't find one. And to that end, Bill, former Auburn head coach Gene Chizik interviewed for the Mississippi State head coaching job on Saturday and immediately removed himself as a candidate the next day. Louisiana Lafayette head coach Billy Napier said at a press conference about Mississippi State, "It's fair to say we've made a decision that I'm not a candidate for that job." I think Mississippi State's in trouble on finding anybody worthwhile to coach there, Bill. First of all, you've got Baylor with an opening now, even though it looks like Joey McGuire is going to be he's the interim head coach. Joey spent 3 years on staff and was previously a high school coach in Texas. The players have already backed him for the job, kind of like when Jimmy Johnson left, everybody at OSU pulled for Pat Jones. Rule's not expected to take most of his staff to the NFL, so there may be some continuity if they keep him. But where's Mississippi State going to go? And think about it, Bill. Can you honestly say that if you go to Mississippi State, you can be a consistent winner and play for championships? Because I don't believe it.
No. So Mississippi State over the last couple of years has been one of those teams that can get that quarterback talent. They can find some guys that can play. Fitzpatrick over the last couple of years has been really, really good.
Well, but man, oh man, that Dan Mullen, I think, took them about as far as you can take a program like that.
I was going to say you can get them to a couple of games above 500 and playing in a decent bowl.
Yeah,
I don't know that you're ever going to break out until we get some weird wave of transition in college football to where recruits are all of a sudden, you know what, I'm tired of going to Alabama. I'm tired of going to Clemson. I want to go.
But you won't see that. I mean, frankly, that's where they are. They're in Louisiana. They're in Mississippi. That's where the best recruits are, and the big boys.
The only thing that's going to really probably make that change is when Dabo decides to go somewhere else or when Nick Saban decides to retire or move on.
But again, that geography won't change. That's still where all the best
Yeah, I
talent's
know, but
coming from.
before this run that Alabama and Clemson were on, they were never Alabama and Clemson
Okay,
like this.
that's fair to say. But what national championships was Mississippi State winning when Alabama wasn't any good?
Well, they just won the Super Pork Chop Bowl just
there
last
you
week.
go. That's the thing. I mean, I see Mississippi State. I don't want to say it's a stepping stone school because
Right.
I'm not sure. I mean, Mullen did it, but I think it's a place where old coaches go to die. Frankly, I don't know who's going to get that job.
I think you need a coach like a Dabo Sweeney mentality that's going to embrace the school for what it is and just say, "Hey, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to build this program the right way and get it up to snuff with everybody else."
It's interesting that they haven't developed a culture that would say that to some of these players that have gone on to be coaches. I've never heard anybody that was an alumni and a player from Mississippi State have any conversation about that job and saying that's my New York Yankees job.
Yeah.
It's just an interesting dilemma that I think they have. And then you say, we have issues with keeping people in Starkville. It's going to be tough to win here. And, by the way, we fire coaches every 2 years. Sign me up for that.
Well, just hop on board. I mean, you're just there for the paycheck, right?
That's got to be the reason.
I mean, that's what I feel.
Yeah.
Like,
so to me,
it's very reminiscent of Tulsa, though.
It is. In a lot of ways, it is.
You want to get discovered? For a 5-year stretch, it was, hey, you go coach at Tulsa, you're going to get picked up by Tennessee, Alabama's, the Clemsons of the world, and be a bigger name coach.
Right. Yeah. You can get more. You can get more clothing for your fabric in Tulsa if you're the Tulsa coach than you can anywhere else because you're a much bigger man everywhere else than you are in Tulsa.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports, reminding you, get that app, and somebody, please give Scotty a thumbs up.
Please.
watching me, watch you, watch me, watch you.
The delay is a little creepy.
It's a little strange.
Yeah, it is. It's like going back in time. I can't believe I was wearing that.
I still have it on.
Bill, we were just briefly mentioned Matt Rule. I heard something that was pretty funny. So he gets the offer from Carolina, knowing that the following day he's supposed to interview with the Giants.
Right. Did you see his schedule before all that? Like, he's got the Giants, he's got Carolina, he's got the Browns, he's got the Chiefs, he's got the Steelers. I mean, you name it. Everybody was
looked like his
for.
looked like his play board during the games. You know, the different play. Apparently, after he was offered what he was offered by Carolina, he made a quick phone call to the Giants.
Yeah.
And immediately said, "Can you match this?" And they said they weren't going to try to match it because they knew that what's the guy at Carolina? I want to say his
Rivera?
name's the
the owner,
general man, the owners at Haslam or something like that. He apparently they knew that he would just keep going up on it, and they weren't going to get into a bidding war for him. But good for Matt Rule for trying to leverage one deal over the other.
I don't know. I don't know what you find a better situation. I feel like you're going to one or the other. So you take out the media that comes in with the Giants and you go to Carolina, you've got a good young running back, just like you would have had with the Giants.
You got better weather, Bill. That's one thing you got.
You've got questions about quarterback, if it's Kyle Allen, if it's Cam Newton, if you keep Cam Newton, do you trade him for some draft picks? What do you do? I don't know. I think you play the year out with Cam Newton, see what Cam Newton can do. If he's really going to be the quarterback you think he's going to be or can be, or the quarterback that led him to a Super Bowl, then yeah, you play with Cam Newton. But I don't know that Kyle Allen is the answer.
Right.
And I don't know that there's anybody else on this roster. Who's the other one? Will Grier is your other quarterback.
Right.
That you can say, yeah, he's my guy for the future and feel comfortable with it. So I think for this year, and I know it's a lot of money, but you keep Cam Newton and you find a way through this year, and especially to implement his process and his coaching staff to who he wants and get that culture right. I think this is a tremendous hire. I don't know how well he's going to be in the NFL. Everywhere he's been a winner. But in the NFL, it's a different animal.
Yeah, I mean, he's coached in the NFL, though. I mean, he coached for the Giants, so it's not completely new to him.
It feels, I don't know, different.
Well, it will be.
Yeah.
It will be. But we'll see what he can do. I'm a big fan of his. I've not seen anyone that's interacted with him that came away with anything other than being impressed. So we'll
except
see.
for maybe the Giants.
We'll see. Well, now.
Yeah.
All right, Bill, NFL playoffs. Let's look at Wild Card Weekend, the weekend that was. Texans 22, Bills 19. What you think of that kickoff play? You know what I'm talking about?
The one that was a touchdown, but not a touchdown.
Yes.
I don't know, waste of time.
Man, oh man, but you had people arguing so vociferously from both sides there. I thought it was fascinating that everyone had an opinion about it. To me, the guy wasn't trying to run the ball out. It was clear he had already made the motion to his own team that he wasn't coming out, and then flipped the ball to the referee. I thought it was hysterical. The referee thought it was like a grenade or something. Ran away from it.
You know what's funny, though? When they said that and they went through that whole replay and everything, I was trying to think of the last time I saw a guy actually kneel down.
Yeah.
Like, that's all I can remember seeing are guys just either waving their hands and whatever, and that signifies that they're giving themselves up.
Right.
And so that's how I took it. I didn't think anything of it when he flipped it. I didn't even notice it, and then they jumped back and he scored a touchdown. Well, what did he do wrong? Like,
Right.
did I miss something? Did he mishandle it or?
Well, and Bill, think about how much they've changed the rules on kickoffs to the point where they're doing everything they can to keep you from running it out of the
Yeah.
end zone anyway.
Not in the XFL, they're not.
And to me, the whole thing was kind of silly. But all it does when you have people that are prosecuting a game like that, and there's that clear of a distinction between what one thinks is the rule and one doesn't think is the rule, what it does to me is it just makes me doubt what they're doing even more. And after what happened last year in the playoffs, in terms of bad calls
Yeah.
and people feeling slighted, Rudolph in the end zone here in this game. Then I think it's once again just creates the kind of mistrust and bad will that the league just doesn't need. And I can't believe how serious both sides. You had officials that were absolutely on one side of that the guy on the field made the right call. You had officials that went completely the other way with
yeah.
it. And to me, that's a fatal flaw in the rules, that you have somebody interpret those rules 180 degrees different.
Well,
than-
it doesn't help anymore that you have the former guy in the sky that's on Fox or CBS that
sets the agenda, if you will, right
He-
after the play.
he's like, it should be this, blah blah blah, and they come out and they say the opposite. Well, I didn't see it that way. You know that
Yeah.
I like those guys, but it doesn't help the
Oh
situation at
no,
all.
it muddies the water to some degree, I believe. All right, Titans 20, Patriots 13. I came away from that game thinking one thing, Bill.
I will say this though. How good though did Josh Allen look?
Oh, for a first half.
Ooh, that dude lumbering down the sideline
Yeah.
about 2 or 3 plays. Yeah, I'm not tackling that dude.
No. Well, and not tackling that dude was what I was getting ready to say about. Henry's pretty good.
A little bit.
Holy moly, Bill! Watching he runs downhill even when he's running uphill. He's scary.
The Titans are on a weird wave, and it may end next round, but the Titans are that insert of, and it's weird to say, that insert of Ryan Tannehill has made this team almost unbeatable, right? No, it doesn't, but it's that weird injection that they've gotten that they
Yeah.
believe in themselves
Do
again.
you think that there's just some really good synergy between Vrabel and Tannehill that they've somehow managed to maybe connect? Because I don't know that much about quarterback coach there or what have you, but having a guy like Vrabel,
I think everybody wants to play for Bravel.
it seems like it.
He appeals because he was a former player and because of his attitude.
Yeah.
I also always used to feel that way about like Jeff Saturday.
Right.
He has that something about him that, you know what, I'd probably play for that guy.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'd play for Saturday on Sundays.
But I can't figure out why or how, I guess, the Patriots let Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry beat you. Even with Tom Brady at whatever degree you want to call Tom Brady right
Yeah,
now.
because Tom wasn't on the defensive side, was he?
No, but Giselle would probably like him to be because he can run and catch and throw the ball together. It's
In
They've
Los
got-
Angeles next year.
I think the Patriots overthink themselves a lot, and you find this with really good teams. When you have something that works so well, so running back James White, who I feel like is their perfect fit because of his ability to catch and run the ball, and he catches it tremendously out of the backfield. I know you have Rex Burkhead and Bodden back there too,
Right.
but James White is a different back than those two backs. You keep that guy on the field because you couldn't keep Sony Michel from getting injured all the time.
Right.
And I really thought Sony was going to be a difference maker, and he was at times, but not every time. With a wide receiver position, yeah, you got dealt a bad thing with the guy we won't talk about anymore. But you still have Julian Edelman in whatever capacity he's in. You've got some guys in Philip Dorsett who can stretch deep.
The A word.
Yeah.
We don't use the
Yeah,
A
we
word.
don't use it anymore. You've got N'Keal Harris, who is an up-and-coming rookie, who looks like or N'Keal Harry, I keep saying Harris. N'Keal Harry, that looks like he's an up-and-coming rookie that could be really, really good, and he might transition to a slot. He kind of gives me that feel a little bit more, but
He should just be Nikhil.
Nikhil.
Because I don't think that there's a whole lot of competition out there with other Nikhils.
Well, I don't know. There wasn't a whole bunch of LeBrons out there, but now there are.
Shakira. I mean, you just, it's just.
I don't know. I feel like that's a great nickname for you. You're the Shakira of crossover sports and
Wow.
excessive celebration.
I always wanted to be a very attractive Jamaican girl instead that sung with T.I., but if I got to be Shakira, I'll go with Shakira.
Well, there you go. I mean, already know those hips don't lie, so.
Well, but then I don't get to go via he, via ha. Via he, via ha.
Hey, but you
ha.
can turn your chair around whenever you hear a voice that you like.
That's right. Vikings 26, Saints 20. So my Super Bowl team goes down in flames, Bill.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I lost my Super Bowl prediction before the playoffs even started, but I'm proud of my Vikings.
Yeah, and I was,
Impressive.
and I was actually, as sad as I was briefly for Saints fans, because they're also LSU fans, and I think they're probably going to go 50-50 in terms of trophies. I hate it because I'm on the other side of that. I picked Clemson, so I got to stay with Clemson. But, how many ways can you lose close games if you're the New Orleans Saints come playoff time?
You know, outside of 1 year, when these two teams play each other in the playoffs, they've been really tremendously hard-fought games. The problem is, and what I see with the Vikings is, normally when they come away with a playoff win like this, traditionally their next game is going to be a rout to where they can't play for whatever reason. And then it happens against the Saints. It's happening against a couple other teams. I don't know if that will galvanize them, because when you look in their locker room, it kind of felt that moment was Kirk Cousins' moment.
Yeah, that's what I was going to. It's funny, Bill.
To take those reins.
Yes, I was going to ask you if coming out of that, does he now, because he was thought of as a guy that couldn't win on Monday night,
Right.
couldn't win on national television, won when the spotlight wasn't on, which frankly is ridiculous, because whether you're playing on Monday night or Sunday afternoon, there's millions of people watching you. But having said that, I think they go to San Francisco absolutely believing that they can win that football game.
If I'm going to go play anywhere, I don't want to play Green Bay. I want to go play San Francisco.
Absolutely.
Now, that being said, San Francisco every week has proven me wrong to where they seem like a complete team, but I feel more comfortable playing against Jimmy Garoppolo,
Certainly.
who I know may throw a couple interceptions.
Absolutely. Well, just the
I was going to say,
experience.
especially if that defense, and specifically that defensive line, plays the way it did in that game, Jimmy Garoppolo is going to get sacked about 5 to 6 times and probably force a ball that he shouldn't. Minnesota's defensive line and secondary, and especially their linebackers, and especially bringing back Sendejo, tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're if not the best, one of the best teams in the league. It's all predicated on what Kirk Cousins can do on the other side. You know they're going to run Dalvin Cook. They've got a tremendous run game, and his ability to carry the ball and be healthy this year has been a changing factor. The wide receivers, who I still today consider the best duo in the NFL, in Thielen and Diggs.
They're almost as good as Chase and Jefferson.
Yeah, or Scotty and Billy.
I wasn't even going to throw that.
The tight end, bringing back Kyle Rudolph, and what his ability is
To push off in the end zone.
to push off and jump ball. From where he started this season, where he should have taken off and didn't, and then all of a sudden found his game again like he did the last couple of years, that's only added to their offense. Not to mention you get Irv Smith, who's been a great rookie addition.
Right.
You got Matterson, who's a great rookie addition. This team is loaded. It's just, can Kirk Cousins be that battery?
And I think he now thinks that he can. I agree with you. I
hope
think
he
they're
does.
coming out with a lot of confidence.
He's
I
either
think-
coming out to
Bill-
do that or get the party started.
Well, Bill, I got to tell you this. I think your other team that you're pretty fond of, the Seattle Seahawks, have got some confidence now, too.
Beast mode is back.
Let me ask you one question. Do you spell Carson's last name W-E-N-T-Z or W-I-N-C-E? Because I winced when I saw Carson Wentz take that shot. And Do you see any issue with that shot? Because I don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Honestly, I feel bad for Carson
sure.
and everything that he's gone through in his whole career. Like, how do you want to be that guy that you're going to be the future and everything's going to be on you and you're leading this team and this team's charging behind you and then you go down and then we bring in another guy. And,
Right, and he goes and wins the Super Bowl.
He wins the Super Bowl. Hey, I got a ring, but I kind of want it.
Yeah,
He does.
it's almost like I'm a father now, but is that my child?
he does everything right. He's probably
I hate those kind of guys. I'm
the
sorry.
perfect example of a role model that you could have in the NFL.
Right.
Until we find out the backstory later on, years down, and he's gambling.
He's hanging out with Roethlisberger on a motorcycle somewhere.
Right. But bad timing, bad everything, wrong place, everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I just don't know with this guy. You've got to have somebody there. And McCown played pretty well. I mean, he wasn't horrible.
Was that not a great story, though?
But to
that
get
dude,
McCown and to have, what's his name that was there that went to Jacksonville? Nick Foles come in and be the guy and resurgence in that too.
Right. Arizona.
Great pickups, but I don't know if you can rely on Carson. Do you pay Carson next time whenever his contract comes up? It's going to be tough to.
Yeah. Hopefully that's a very frank conversation that's had with Carson's representatives so as not to just go, we don't know.
We all know there's going to be injuries in football, but we hope that they're not to a significant degree. And especially for Carson Wentz going forward, I would.
Your quarterback.
I'm putting on a flat jacket, wrapping my legs in bubble wrap,
right.
getting one of those big Nerf helmets. I mean, everything you can imagine to protect this guy.
Wear one of those fake sumo suits.
Oh yeah, and Wentz rolls out.
That's what if they
ring.
want me to watch the Pro Bowl,
put them all in that.
Put them all in sumo suits.
I will say, watching the. I don't know what it is anymore. It's not the skills challenge, but the team challenge stuff. Yeah. I find that's more interesting than the Pro Bowl.
Yeah, because I think they're actually trying.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Playing ultimate frisbee or whatever it is.
Man, there's nothing more ultimate than disc golf.
Hey, that's a college sport.
I saw that.
That is a college sport.
If a bunch of guys throwing a beanbag at a piece of cardboard or plywood with a hole in it gets something, then at least throwing a disc ought to be worth something.
You would think, right? I got a full ride. I'm playing a little disc golf.
Yeah.
Plus UAV.
It just sounds so much better than cornhole.
Hacky sack.
I used to play that out Lake Overholser 100 years ago.
All right.
Yeah, man, that was cool. We got to play a little hacky sack.
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports, reminding you, get that app. Ding dong, who's there? You're at Serve. Get you a fresh cup of coffee today. I don't know what to think of that song yet.
I don't either. I don't think I don't remember listening to it all the way through. To
I don't
that
think we
point.
made it. I don't think we made it that far last time
I,
because I didn't know those phasers or whatever those are came in.
No, I wasn't. I didn't have the heebie-jeebies until that point. It almost sounds like a cool video game or something. You know, one of these new ones like Asteroids or whatever the kids are playing today.
Isn't this the theme song to Super Mario Brothers?
It does feel like it's tied to something.
Like when you go into the castle
with the dragon
with the dragon
and the princess.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Or the mushroom people, or the things that turn into
mushroom
bombs.
The mushroom people.
Man, you have to jump across their heads. I love that stuff, man.
Gotta
By the
love
way, Sky Q's favorite hero of all of that is Yoshi.
Yeah, I like
He's a Yoshi guy.
See, I was a big fan of the mushroom people. I like Toadstool.
I got you. For me, it's always been Waluigi gonna win. You know, he was that other guy.
He was the third wheel. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, he wasn't quite Luigi, but he was his alter. He's the Lance and Dash of Nintendo, Waluigi.
That's high praise.
That's as good as it gets.
Solid gold.
Thank you. And the Solid Gold Dancers right here. Crossover Radio, Excessive Celebration, Billy Bell, Scott Owens. Back for more. Back to talk. The National Basketball Association, Bill. The Thunder had a tough game last night. Philadelphia, 76ers. If I would have told you, what if I told you that at the beginning of the year, the Thunder would go in to play the Philadelphia 76ers at this point in the season, and that most Thunder fans were actually legitimately, validly giving them a chance to win that game last night?
We get into the question. What do you do? So I would have said, for the Thunder to be where they're at right now, a lot of teams are going to have to fall. You're going to have to see Sacramento fall. You're going to have to see Minnesota fall, Portland fall, and wait a minute, Sacramento's okay. Portland looks terrible.
Yeah, but plus, I mean, you still got Bill. I mean, let's be honest. You still got those Golden State Warriors sitting up there. No, you don't.
Yeah, what's more surprising, Golden State being that low or Oklahoma State being as high as they are?
Well, it's interesting too, because then you've got, who would have thought that the Pelicans would be where they are, and you didn't know Zion was going to not be able to play. Who thought that Portland was going to tank as bad as they did?
I don't know. Zion's dunking now. He's. I think they said he was about 5 weeks away, or no, he's playing 5-on-5 ball.
Playing 5-on-5 ball.
So it could be interesting, but now you're getting into the range of you're going to start losing guys for the trade assets. Big feeling JJ Redick will not be on this team anymore.
I heard something interesting, and I don't know how much faith or credit you give Stephen A. Smith in terms of his opinions, because I think he's certainly a guy that puts them out there for effect to some degree. His suggestion was that Zion should sit out the whole year.
Do the Embiid.
Do the Embiid.
I'm not a fan of that because I want to get this guy comfortable.
I want to put butts in the seats if I'm in ownership at New Orleans.
But just seeing where he is as a player stacked up against the NBA talent to see what he's really got. If it's only for 5 games, I want to see it as a head coach.
I'm jealous. I mean, I'm jealous of not getting to see the guy. I can't wait to see him.
Because you got to feel as a Pelicans fan, your team's okay, but you didn't expect to go out there with Brandon Ingram and be like, okay, this is awesome. I'm glad I came.
Right.
No, you want to see this young core together and see how they mesh.
Sky Q's a huge Brandon Ingram fan, by the way. I like Drew Holiday.
He's hot and cold for me.
Sky Q or Brandon Ingram?
Both.
Yeah, okay.
The interesting part is where's Drew Holiday going to be? Is he going to stay with this team? I feel like he's the mentor of the team. He's probably still their best player most nights, but As far as fit, I don't know. What are you doing with Josh Hart? Is he your sixth man? Is he going to start with you?
Yeah.
Can his game become what it kind of was looking like when he played? You know, it's funny now, but it feels like the Lakers got rid of the wrong piece and should have kept Josh Hart
Right.
and gave Kuzma away.
Oh, I've got to ask you a question about him too. Here in a minute.
Is he single? Why did he dye his hair blonde?
What I don't understand, I heard that the Sacramento Kings are interested in moving Bogdanovich for Kyle Kuzma. Now, I don't get it for the Kings because they got Bagley, they got Barnes. They've got enough fours. Don't they have what's the other guy's name?
Well,
Belica or something?
But you've also got to feel though that Kuzma's not a true natural four though. He's more along the lines of a 3. When you put him down in the 4 position, and I know everything's going to a stretch 4,
yeah,
he feels uncomfortable because especially when he goes back down. Let's say he's playing Al Horford, right?
Right.
And Horford's backing him down. He's not going to be able to bang with Al Horford. He barely can bang with Serge Ibaka if Serge Ibaka had a backup game. I think the reason why you do that is because you've paid just about everybody else.
Right.
And to where he's a nice fit for the team, but you've already got Fox and you've got Buddy Yield who you've paid.
Right.
Bagley, who looks like he's going to be pretty good if he can stay healthy. The real need is probably at center, or maybe they put him on the bench. I don't know.
Yeah.
There are questions around the league that you feel like most GMs can answer with, this is why we're getting this guy. And to them it makes sense, but to us as fans it makes absolutely no sense.
Well, and you don't. I mean, I'm looking at this as if this may be the last move that's made. It may simply be the first move of a multi-move.
It could be one of those things because of Bagley not being able to stay healthy. It gives you that insurance policy too. I don't know that I would do it. I like Bogdanovich. I think he can shoot better than most players can in the NBA. He can create off the dribble. He's not stellar defensively, but it also brings in more size. I think the guy you should get rid of, though, in this, if you're going to somehow work this trade, is actually Harrison Barnes.
Right.
Which I know they've paid him, but you trade Harrison Barnes, you put Kuzma on that team, somehow figure that trade out, and maybe even you can keep Bogdanovich at that point. Bogdanovich. That I think that fits together better because you've got a young core that can work together. I don't think you need Harrison Barnes there. You let Fox by himself is a stud. I mean, hard to guard. He's not, to me, he's not quite to that level of explosiveness that Westbrook was at a couple of years ago, but it's Westbrook-esque.
Yeah, it's not unfair to make that analogy. I'll say that. And they got a pretty good shooting guard.
My question for you is, well, he's the next Steph Curry. My question for you is, what do you do in Minnesota, or for teams like Minnesota and for teams like the Spurs, who came into this season thinking that they were going to be a top-tier team, especially Minnesota?
Yeah, I don't know how you think that, though, when you've got the same people underachieving that you're counting on to achieve.
Is this the year that they break both of those teams up?
You know, I would say it's more likely that Minnesota does that than San Antonio, with the one exception being if this is it for Popovich. And by the way, Bill, I actually heard on a national syndicated show over the holidays someone else mentioning the fact that they felt like Bill Self was going to be the next coach of the San Antonio Spurs.
I've heard that a couple of times now. I think that's a pretty good fit, and realistically, I think it's a smart move for him right now.
Yeah.
But going to this team, you're going to have to start over.
Oh yeah.
You go to a Spurs team that has an outdated power forward.
But I think if you're the head coach, Bill, and you're going into an organization where they've won and they've won and they've won and they've won.
The culture is what you're buying into.
Well, no, what I was going to suggest, though, was you probably do need to be able to do the Etch-a-Sketch thing and wipe the screen clean and start forward, because you don't want to be linked to underachieving with talent that Popovich had maybe he was good enough to get him to 8th. Maybe he wasn't. I think you're better off just erasing the chalkboard and starting over.
What about moving? Do you think Popovich would take a GM role, or do you think he'd coach again if this is his last year in San Antonio?
He's 70, right? I mean, he's 70 years old.
He looks it.
Yeah. So I don't know, Bill. I'm not sure about that. I don't know.
I think you need a total recall on this roster, just because outside of Murray, their point guard, Forbes to me doesn't show any upside.
Is Robert Horry available?
I feel like he needs to be.
Yeah.
Aldridge, I think, is stifled at his position. He is getting to the point where he can shoot a three-point shot, but it's not consistently, and it'll never be consistent. There's nobody else on this team. DeRozan's fallen back to what he was back when he was in Toronto, shooting mid-range two-point jumpers, which nowadays is outdated. Rudy Gay is maybe your only other piece that has proven he can come off the bench and be a good sixth man for somebody. The asking price may be too high for Rudy Gay, though. I think you just wipe it clean. And you keep Murray and you piece around Murray, because you know you have something that, to me, he's reminiscent of Rajon Rondo and what Rajon Rondo could do.
Sure.
I think he shoots it a little bit better, not a tremendous amount better, but he shoots it just a little bit better than Rondo ever did. Even though Rondo, fans give Rondo trouble, but Rondo can shoot.
I'm going to tell you something.
He can shoot.
You and I think, pay a little attention. When both of us have the same opinion of somebody that's pretty polarizing to other people, I feel really good about it. And I've always been a fan of the energy that he brings to the basketball court.
Oh, yeah.
I have always been impressed with him.
I don't think it fits with the Lakers right now, though, with Rondo.
No, I agree.
I feel like they need to separate that. It looks like they're going to give also Howard his contract too, which I don't know. I still don't like that. I don't think you need two centers of the same kind of caliber and the same kind of athleticism, and they shoot the same. They do everything almost alike. I feel like you can move on from one of them, even if they are on really good deals, and find you a piece that can help your team out.
Let me ask you a question about that, because two things here. One, I think Rondo is better at influencing younger players with his play and his enthusiasm and the style of play that he has, where I don't think it necessarily influences or motivates LeBron and Anthony Davis and players like that. So to that degree. But Bill, I want to go back to I want to ask you a question about San Antonio real quick.
Okay.
You could never, ever, for years and years, legitimately question really anything they did. I mean, the moves they made were all very strategic. They were planned, and you would look back after they were made and go, wow, how did they get that guy to come down and play for less money? How were they able to grab this guy? How are they able to do all of these things? You never really questioned Popovich or what San Antonio was doing from personnel standpoint or the way they prosecuted a season. They were just hard to question. To me, that changed with Kawhi Leonard. All of a sudden, there seemed to be a chink in the armor. There seemed to be a gap somewhere, whether it was the team communicating to him, Kawhi communicating back to the team. But when there had been issues like that before, it was always team first. It was always, we're going to do the best thing for the organization. The franchise matters first. And everybody kind of rallied around, and you didn't hear a lot of noise coming out of that organization. But when Kawhi was there, all of a sudden, it's he said, she said. It almost looked like that organization began to fragment about 2 years ago a little bit, and those little cracks have become much bigger fissures now. And I think that was the beginning of the end of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty and dominance.
I don't know that I would 100% agree. I think they mishandled the Kawhi situation to some degree. But part of me also thinks that Kawhi Leonard wanted out of there now. He felt like this was his time. I feel like in some respects, to the genius that is Greg Popovich as a basketball coach, that he might have taken some of those players for granted. So when he was riding Duncan all those years, maybe not utilizing Kawhi for what he was.
But that's the kind of the point I was going to make you when you said what you said, and I agree. But why would you want to leave if you're Kawhi if everything's good? If everything, you've been there.
Because he's LA born.
But he didn't go there.
I know.
He's there now. That's all I'm saying is there seemed to be.
Well, that was also a forced trade, though,
some
too.
sort of a lack of confidence that they were going to be successful with him on the floor there. He felt it.
I feel like it was a one-off scenario. I don't feel the entire league feels that way, because you've had players come after and sign with San Antonio. I mean, realistically, if somebody's going to play basketball, you're probably going to go there, and if that's your only option, you're probably going to go there. Could have been handled better, yes. Could they have done some things in a better way? But also, Kawhi is a weird dude.
Oh, no, I get that.
But he
was a weird dude all that time.
Right. But I'm saying, if he may have taken something they said the wrong way or something they did the wrong way, and that set him off, and there was no repairing that. And we may never know what truly happened. I know that during that whole time, Popovich was talking to him and, trying to get him back in the good graces and whatever, and it seemed fine with their relationship. Like, I think him and Pop are fine. I think it's something to do with somebody somewhere.
Well, you at one point you had dueling doctors, if you remember.
Yeah.
And I think anytime the player gets his own physicians involved and it's counter to what the team's saying, to me, it's too late at that point.
So that's why the Patriots lost. I got you.
To me, that's all. It's already too late when you get to that point. I've got one other question for you, Bill. It won't take but a second. You can even come back out of the break.
Go ahead.
Brad Botkin says CP3 is the last puzzle piece for the 76ers. That's what they're missing, is a Chris Paul to lead them. And he suggested they give up a first-round pick and either Horford or Mike Scott.
You would have to trade
Thunder.
Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons can't shoot. You can't have Chris Paul and Ben Simmons on the floor. That doesn't work. That doesn't work at all. We'll get more into that after the break. I mean, that doesn't work for me.
Oh, you're a naysayer.
You're listening to Accept the Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports, reminding you, get that app today and get in your car. Come down to Serve. Grab a hot cup of coffee and hang with us. That song was so nice, I had to play it twice.
Wow, back to Scary Santa Claus hip hop mixtape.
The elves are in the DJ booth.
So the elves haven't left the building, is what you're saying.
They're dropping the beat.
What I didn't drop at the end of the last segment was my Power 5 as well as Sky Q's. Here's the interesting thing. We all have the same 5 teams. I actually put mine in order.
Ooh.
He just threw them out there because I'm not sure he cares that much.
Pixie dust.
And then some more magic dust, and some more magic dust. So I got Bucks, Lakers, Celtics, Heat, Rockets. What do you think?
Bucks, Lakers,
Celtics,
Heat, Rockets.
He's got Heat, Rockets, Celtics, Lakers, Bucks.
Yeah.
The only one I'm positive about right now
The Bucks.
are the Bucks.
Yeah. I mean, Giannis right now. You know what I love is the culture or the atmosphere that is around them right now. So they do these Facebook Live, or they do these videos right before game of Giannis and the Bucks, and they're mimicking WWE wrestling stuff with him and Robin Lopez, which Robin Lopez, I feel, you add him to any team, he's going to let you have a good time. Like, he's going to loosen up the mood because you always see him playing with mascots and stuff. I feel like this team bringing in Robin Lopez, and because Brooke Lopez is
Was he
there,
kind of the Jonas brother Lopez twin of the two? He seems to be a little more.
he's a little out there.
Yeah, I like him.
It feels like that's galvanized the team a little bit more, and it doesn't hurt that you've got guys playing a lot better beside him. I mean, Chris Middleton, who's been underrated for years, finally getting the All-Star nod last year. Probably getting it again this year because there's nobody in the East. DiVincenzo's been playing really well. Bledsoe, whenever he's healthy, can play really well. They're still one piece away. I don't know what it is. I feel like it's another 2-guard of some sort. Wesley Matthews is okay, but he's not quite what Brogdon was last year. And which, by the way, again, Brogdon in Indiana has been tearing it up. He's been amazing. I don't know what you do. And Indiana is going to be scary at some point when they get Oladipo back. So, and that's just before they start the games and he's singing.
Right.
But after that, when it tips off, it's going to be amazing.
Well, and who can argue with Sabonis' success?
Well, yeah,
as well?
and their biggest question is because you can't play him and Turner on the floor, and they're both young, good, talented center,
amazing
forward.
upside,
and you've got to find a way to play them both, but it feels like it can't be done.
Boy, I just wish the Thunder could have had a shot at somebody like Sabonis because he can.
It's tough. What you'd bring? So J.J. Redick. Let's bring J.J. Redick to Milwaukee, and I think that puts them over the top of
That'd be
being
so,
the team to beat.
So scary.
I'm sorry, but I would give up. I would give up Wesley Matthews for it.
Well, let me ask you a question because and please don't think I'm making a direct comparison here because I'm not.
You are.
Okay, maybe a little bit. What if Zion is everything everyone believes him to be? Would J.J. Redick then be the same type of distraction offensively for New Orleans regarding Zion as if he were in Milwaukee doing that same thing for Giannis?
The thing
Is there a close enough parallel to make that argument?
It depends on how they go with this starting lineup. So say you've got Drew Holiday as your point, because I don't feel like it's going to be Lonzo. You put Drew Holiday, you put Josh Hart, you put Ingram and Zion out there, and then probably the Hayes kid who's played really, really well at your 5. If you're playing Zion to be a back-to-the-basket guy, or is this going to be where Zion has the ball in his hands? Because it's a lot scarier team if Zion's the guy bringing it up the floor.
I'm thinking that you've got a guy that, if in my feeble mind, I see him being a similar type of offensive player as the freak, as the Greek freak.
I would agree. I don't think the passing ability is as good as Giannis or
No,
LeBron's
certainly
to
not.
any
No,
degree.
not to that point yet.
But it's going to be how can they all accommodate all that. I think Holiday's a good enough shooter to recognize what's going on. Or let's say you trade Holloway and you keep or Holiday and you keep JJ Redick, right? So now you got 3 guys who can stretch the floor. Not to mention Zion, who can hit a 3 occasionally.
Right.
I don't know if Hayes can consistently or if has that in his repertoire, but then you get into that kind of stationary factor, kind of what you had with the Thunder is Ingram's just sitting out here on an island. When does he get upset? Because if you really watched, even when he played with the Lakers,
same thing.
when he got the ball, he was just going to take it and drive it.
Right.
But
Because he didn't get it very often.
He can shoot that ball, but when he got the ball, he wasn't going to look for anybody else. He's not going to worry about creating for anybody else. He's going to drive it to the lane. He's going to force the double team, and then he's going to throw up a horrible shot.
Right.
And that's what he was. He's developed into a little bit better player off of that, but he still kind of does the same thing. Just like the other night where he goes down and he gets blocked or fouled, depending on how you look at it. He's got guys open.
Yeah.
Swing the ball out. I know there's 3 seconds left, but swing that ball out somewhere. You're double team trying to drive at the top of the key.
Right.
Surely one of your guys can hit the ball or hit the basket.
You know, it's a funny thing watching a team that LeBron James plays on, watching the Bucks, and then imagining Zion full speed, completely healthy, playing for New Orleans. Just watching him when he was at Duke, for example, the court looks so much smaller
Right.
when those guys are on it, Bill. They do. And so when you're talking about spreading the floor, we're talking literally having to spread the floor because these guys take up so much space just doing what they do. They're monsters. I can't wait to see what they do with him.
And when we all thought that, or a good portion of us thought that Cam Reddish looked like he could be the guy that had the most upside out of the 3 kids that came from Duke.
Right.
I'm still going to say it's Zion now. Like, I'm changing my opinion. Like, I kind of thought it might be Cam Reddish just because it's like, okay, Cam Reddish can kind of play, but he doesn't really want to play in college.
Yeah,
And he's kind of the same way with Atlanta. Like, he has spurts where he looks like he's unguardable. Then he has spurts where he shouldn't be out there.
Right. Well, if it was me, I'd be turning around watching that guard do what he does, the kid from Oklahoma.
Let me just walk an inch over the half-court line, and I'm going to jack it up, and
it's good.
Net.
Yeah. Well, it's fascinating, and I just wanted to throw that out there. We could talk a little NCAA hoops.
Well, as I say, we are getting a little bit closer to trade deadlines too, and so we're going to find out what the Thunder might have in mind. It's going to be real tricky. Whichever way Presti goes, I don't know that it's going to be wrong or that it's going to be right.
Well, let me ask you this, Bill. Do you think he will be the pursuer or pursued at this point? Because
I always feel like he's the one being pursued. Like, doesn't he just like rubs you as that guy that's like, I'm too cool for this. And, you want to call me about him? I kind of don't like that trade. Oh, well, you're going to throw in Michael Jordan? Okay, I guess that works for me. Like, he feels like that guy. I don't know how much they push, GMs in general push to move guys. I mean, obviously to alleviate salary cap, I feel like they probably push a lot of those a little harder. But to me, it feels like a lot of the GMs in the league don't have a great mindset for the game as far as, if I bring this guy in, it fits and we work. They don't believe in the chemistry aspect.
They're stockpiling talent to some degree,
so
as opposed to teammates.
You look at Portland, to where Carmelo happens to be an amazing fit, but you bring in Whiteside, who plays all right, but they're not great together. You've got CJ and Dame Lillard, which I've said over the last month, I feel like you've got to break them up, or you've had to break them up because they're undersized. They play good together, but they're essentially the same player.
Well, and I think they reached their
peak.
maybe a year ago.
Oh yeah. And you would have thought there would have been tremendous momentum building off of that.
Yeah.
But
It
what
wasn't
was
there.
it? What was it? 2 or 3 years ago, and Lillard did the same thing against what was it, Houston. So I don't know what piece you can bring in to help them out.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure
like a
who
guy
fixes it. I don't know if there's a fixer out there.
Like Richardson that plays with Philadelphia, which you're not going to get him, but if you can find him and work maybe McCollum over there, I guess that maybe helps and maybe alleviates something.
Yeah.
Or Tobias Harris. There's something amiss with Portland, and it could be bench play. There's a number of different issues. Minnesota, I think you blow that team up completely.
I would think so. It's just nothing feels anything but toxic when you talk about Minnesota.
There's a lot of Suns fans out there that want the trade and the trade between Ayton and Big Cat to happen, and I'm not opposed to that at all. I just find it funny when you read some of these message boards and you kind of look around the league and stuff, and there's a lot of guys that I think fans are very, very frustrated.
Sure. I think some are frustrated with what's happening with the Clippers right now.
Yeah, I was going to say Karl Anthony Towns, I don't know if is the full brunt of all that. I think it's a lot more to do with Wiggins and, the Jeff Teagues of the world and stuff. But
he's a contributor. He's a contributor to some anxiety
I think he's
up there.
Getting up there to where fans are like, okay, we're kind of tired of this.
Yeah,
we're a little bit tired.
Yeah.
Now, if they would remember back when all you had was Kevin Love, they would get over that real quick.
Exactly.
Because did you see Kevin Love's temper tantrum the other day?
Yeah.
Which I don't blame him at all.
No, you talk about being in purgatory. Bill, before we jump to NCAA, because we got plenty of time talking NCAA over the course of the next months. What's your take on Westbrook returning on Thursday night? I know that the Thunder's preparing a video presentation and that they're going to be classy and do the things they do. I also believe that he will be very well received here. But I've got a question that maybe is secondary, at least for this game, this first time.
Right.
Can the Thunder beat Houston Thursday night?
No chance.
I think Russell Westbrook will play out of his mind.
I think Westbrook, I think CP3, obviously Harden, because I don't think there's anybody on the Thunder that can guard Harden. I think CP3 has a really good game.
Do you put Terrence Ferguson?
I don't put Terrence Ferguson on the floor.
Or do you put – who do you put to guard?
Probably Gilgeous. I might even put CP on him a little bit.
CP's not afraid to D up people. And maybe Harden would be a guy that he'd at least take that challenge for a while.
Yeah, I probably start off the game. I would start off the game with CP on Harden and Gilgeous or Schroeder, whichever one you want to put in there, against Westbrook just to match speed-wise. At some point, I would flip it because CP is going to get in foul trouble because of it, and Harden can shoot right over the top. After you flip it, I don't know who you really put.
That's why I was wondering if just because of
maybe because of fouls, Terrence Ferguson,
and that was my thought, Bill. That you've got some you can give away because it's not. Hey, he gets some fouls. It's not like he's hurting you offensively if you got to take him off the floor.
Yeah, one of those two guys, either Schroeder, and they've both been playing actually pretty well. Schroeder or Gilgeous-Alexander is going to step up in a big way. I just don't think they can compete. To me, if I'm Houston, how I look at this game is the test of what my team is. Because
it's a good
Oklahoma
point.
City is that borderline team of they're kind of good, and when they've got it going, and
they can beat people.
Yeah. Oklahoma City, you can probably reasonably say, is the better overall team out of their starting five, even starting six. Houston plays a weird lineup.
Yeah, they do.
Like, extremely. They've got Daniel House, who's been decent. They've got James Harden, Westbrook, all guys who really just want to drive at you. Capella, who I've been saying for over probably about a year now or since the last playoffs, get rid of him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired of seeing Clint Capella underachieve as a Houston Rocket. Send him to anywhere else and bring in somebody
Portland.
that can. Yeah, well, yeah. That'll help Portland's woes. But it's. I don't know how nobody else has noticed that Clint Capella, from whatever injury or problems or whatever it is that he had, he fell off tremendously.
Yeah, I would say going back to the series against Golden State 3 seasons ago now was the last time that you saw him play at a high level, consistently anyway.
I mean, and I say that, and he's still going to get you like 12 rebounds a game and 11 points, but
I don't think
it's not that same
he
Clint
does
Capella.
not realize his potential. I don't think.
I don't think he does
I
either.
completely agree with you.
I don't think he does either.
Yeah.
It feels like this is his cap when you thought his cap was like 5 levels above this, and it's really stifling. And he's never going to get an outside jumper. He's never going to shoot threes. He's only going to be a rebounder and maybe a shot blocker to some degree. He's just a presence on the floor.
Let me ask you this: you talk about the what kind of team Houston is versus even the Thunder. So the fact that they are where they are, and it's pretty obvious. I mean, when you look at the talent in the backcourt, we get all of that. But does that mean that Mike D'Antonio's earning his paycheck this year?
No. His system is very gimmicky. Until it proves that he can win more than one game in the playoffs, or 2 games or series, I should say, in the playoffs, it's always been gimmicky.
Well, if I remember when he was at Phoenix,
yeah.
where if it wasn't the fact that Amari Stoudemire just played out of his mind for a
Right.
while, he may not be as well thought of as.
Oh, and I would agree. I mean, like, look at because of his 5 seconds or less strategy, and he's adapted a little bit from that, but you had Steve Nash as your point guard. Yeah, you're going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You've got Chris Paul as your point guard. Yeah, you're going to be pretty good.
Uh-huh.
When he was in New York, I think he had Ray Felton, and he transformed Ray Felton into being a little bit above average player.
Yeah.
They weren't good. But after that, you go to Houston again, or you've got Houston, and you've got Russell Westbrook now as your point guard, or James Harden, or whoever you want to say is your point guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not hard to look good when you
Right.
have those guys.
Right.
Like, it doesn't make sense that we're going to it's like glorifying Spoelstra.
No, I get it. That's why I was
Like,
asking.
it doesn't make sense.
But it's a question you have to ask if you're saying, well, they don't really have a good enough team or that good of a team, but yet they're.
I would say
fairly high
I would
up in
say
the
Oklahoma
rankings.
City starting 5 or even 6 deep is better than the Rockets 6 deep. Now, when you stretch it out and they've got Westbrook and Harden, yeah, that's the different story. That's
Right.
they're game changers compared to anything that Oklahoma City's got. But right now,
It's because they gave up Singler.
yeah, well, you don't give that. They should just put a silhouette of his hair in the rafters instead of a jersey.
Oh, I like that.
There you go.
They could do that with Adams at some point,
With just the mustache
or Schroeder, and
There
have
you
the,
go.
have the
the
you know,
half.
the color
half-
thing
half gold
happening
thing.
there. Yeah,
You're listening to Excessive Celebration on Crossover Radio Sports.
it's a French thing, by the way.
I know that. Crossover Radio Sports. Get that app today while you're getting that French thing at the hair salon tomorrow.
I'm going tonight.
We are driving that song to the top of the charts.
Yeah. What kind of vehicle are we using?
I don't know. Probably like
Smart car?
One of those
A smart car?
hoverboard things
I've
that
got
blow up when you charge it too long.
like the digital scooters, that sort of a
Yeah.
deal.
I like it. Look, we are probably the two worst guys to talk about it with technology.
Oh no, I've got something.
You know
for
that
man.
thing that you ride around?
Hey, those digital. I got the greatest idea for all these retirement villages that they have now. Right, they're everywhere. Right, everybody's these people moving into these. Instead of digital scooters, I want to own a company that provides something different for elderly people in these retirement homes called Jerry Jeff Walkers. And you just leave it right there. You used to get out of the car and get into the early bird special at the restaurant, but you don't have to put it in your car and carry it home because we got Jerry Jeff Walkers all over the premises.
Well, by the time all that happens, teleportation will be here, hover cars.
Hey, I got a Jerry Jeff Walker in my garage right now.
Okay.
I'm counting on it.
Why didn't you get it here?
Because I was hoping that there'd be a digital version of it out in the back of the parking lot. I wouldn't have to. Plus, I can't get it up the stairs, Bill.
There might be an app for that.
Well, we've got an app, Crossover Radio Sports and Crossover Radio app. Get it, live it, love it. I'll tell you who's loving it right now, Bill. The Big Ten Conference. 10 teams right now in the brackets as of today. The Big East 6, SEC Pac, Big 12, ACC 5. Then you got the American, the West Coast Conference with 3. Gee, that must be Gonzaga. Mountain West with a couple and the A-10 with a couple. But a tough start for Oklahoma State, going 0-2 in the conference, playing two of the 3 top-ranked teams. They have just been throttled. They're going to have to turn that around. They've dropped out there now in the first 4 out as opposed to being in. OU's in the last 4, staying in there with their win over Kansas State. And there's so much basketball to be played, Bill. But right now, you've really got to hand it to what's happening in the Big Ten. It is dominating right now.
It's interesting because
even though none of the Big Ten has a top seed right now. Gonzaga, Duke, Kansas, and Butler.
I was going to say this year it feels like nobody is a true number one. The committee's going to have a tough time figuring out who's really in and how good these teams are really. The parity in college basketball has become more evident that you may have one star over here in Marquette and he's going to lead them to 16, right?
Yeah.
Or
look
Sweet
at
16.
what Jay Morantz was able to accomplish at Murray State.
Yeah. It's
a doable
this year. It
thing.
doesn't feel like there's that one dominant team yet, and it may happen over the course of the conference games here that we kind of figure out who is who. I don't know that we are this year.
But Bill, when you look at the Big Ten right now, you've got Michigan State as a projected 2, Michigan as a 3, Maryland as a 3, Ohio State as a 3. You come out of that conference, there may not be a team that just dominates, but if you win that conference or win that tournament, man, you're as battle-tested as whoever's coming out of the ACC, I've got to believe.
Yeah, but you know what'll happen first round, Michigan State will play each other.
Yeah, those things tend to work themselves.
That's always weird. Like I say the first round, so like the second round, it's happened a couple of years, and especially to like Michigan and Purdue, they'll play somebody in the first round, like Eastern Carolina. Then the second round they play like Indiana or somebody they've been playing all year, and you're like, you couldn't have seeded this just a little bit better.
Yeah. Why now? Well, the Big 12, Texas Tech, who started out not even in the brackets to begin, they're a 7 seed right now. KU, a 1 seed. West Virginia, 3 seed. Baylor, a 2 seed. And OU, as I mentioned, an 11 seed right now as one of the last teams in.
I feel like OU's going to fall off.
There's so much more basketball to play. We'll see.
Yeah, they're
man.
They're getting better, and they play pretty well as a team, but they're undersized. They shoot it okay. They're going to be one of those teams that
they're a Lon Kruger team, Bill.
Yeah, the right situation, they're going to be hard to stop in the right game. But you're going to have those games where they can't hit the broadside of a barn and they struggle to get rebounds and they turn it over. And this team could be really good in about 2 years. Right now, they're struggling.
Well, we're going to turn over a page to the Sky Q segment in our picks. Bill, going into our picks from 2 weeks ago,
Right.
Sky had a one-game lead on me, 83-51, 82-52, 68-66. We had a tough week with our pro picks. We had 5 pro picks, Bill. 49ers, Seahawks. Now, this was before the playoffs. We all had Seattle. That didn't work out. Buccaneers, Falcons. We all had the Buccaneers. That didn't work out. Cards versus Rams. We all won that one. Titans versus Texans. We all took the Texans. That didn't work out. Browns versus Bengals. That's where I closed the deal on Sky Q. I took the Bengals. You guys took the Browns. And as a result now, Sky Q 84-55. Scotty 84-55.
Ooh.
Bill 69-70.
Yeah.
So right there. So now we've got 5 games to pick this week, Bill,
All right.
leading up to the final Super Bowl the following week. So we're not ready for the Super Bowl obviously yet. We've still got games to pick this week, and then we'll have our 4 after that, right? So
Right.
Minnesota at San Francisco.
Minnesota.
We have San Francisco. Skyler. Tennessee, Baltimore.
As much as I want to ride the Tennessee train, I am going to ride the Baltimore bandwagon.
Okay, because Tannehill does not have a mustache.
No mustache.
Okay, well, we all took Baltimore. Houston at Kansas City. To me, this is the easiest one for me to pick.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you see J.J. Watt come back?
I did.
I'm going to take Kansas City.
Yeah. I also don't necessarily think Houston was the better team the other
I
night.
don't either.
Now, this is the one that is, to me, the most intriguing game of the 4. Seattle at Green Bay.
I'm going to stick with Seattle.
As did Skyler, and as did I.
So that means Green Bay will light it up.
And finally, LSU Clemson.
LSU.
I have the other Tigers in this one. Skyler's with you with LSU.
I'm hoping it's to the level that the Clemson-Ohio State game was.
Oh, I am too.
I'm hoping it's to that level. I think Clemson can hang in there and play with them. And I kind of rather see Clemson win it, but I feel like LSU is going to win.
Okay, here's something you can ask your wife, your in-laws, all of the very, very true OU fans this question. And it was in the paper today. You know that the only guy I reference is Barry Trammell.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the article he wrote about why OU fans should cheer for LSU?
To make it seem like they
No.
lost to the national championship?
No.
No, I did not.
Clemson wins this game. They have an opportunity to win every game next year. They've got a very, very easy schedule. If they win tonight or win this weekend, next Monday, win all of their games next year, the second game the year after that against South Carolina State, they will break OU's 47-game winning streak. Something that was thought to be unbreakable could happen if Clemson goes undefeated this year and undefeated next year. They have 2 simple games to start the year, the following season, and could legitimately break OU's record.
I'll put my M&Ms on.
60 years.
I'll put my M&Ms on that not happening. They're getting beat next year.
Well, I think they're getting beat Monday, but I'm staying with Clemson because I picked them early on.
Scott, any goodbye thoughts?
I would just want to say thanks again to everyone that made this wonderful studio possible. Jeremy, Phil, everyone involved, the people that actually came in and did the hard work. We benefit from that. And Bill, I don't know about you, but it's really exciting to be in this studio doing what we do at the level we do, surrounded by this wonderful equipment and being hosted by the finest coffee in town, Serve, right here in downtown Bethany.
You're listening to Crossover Radio Sports and Crossover Radio. Get that app today. And remember, Excessive Celebrations on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and iTunes. Like us, follow us, love us. Thanks, guys, for enjoying all the pretty.